Hi, everyone. It's Nina Collins, and I'm here today with Margit Detweiler. Very, very happy to be here. Hello.
I'm thrilled.
Um, I'll give a super brief info. So, Margit runs a storytelling platform. It's a community and a storytelling group called Tonight. They have an amazing newsletter and a live event series for women over 40, or as they call them, grown ass ladies. And she also runs Gyrate Media, which is a content strategy agency where she helps brands and other publishers figure out website content and how to tell stories. So she has a lot of hats, and I'm super happy to have her here. Margaret and I got to know each other on Facebook, probably like I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
around when we were both starting our communities. And now we've decided, since we're totally swimming in the same pool, obsessed with the same sorts of things, we're going to try and do a little bit more of an official partnership and start content sharing and doing events together. And, so we're two chicks in Brooklyn and
Sitting around talking.
hanging around talking. And I came online and Margaret had a glass of wine. So I was like, oh, I could use a glass of
Oh
wine.
yeah.
So cheers, sweetie. So I thought this would be fun. I was thinking about when we were doing this. You and I once had lunch at a Japanese place like 4 years
Good
ago.
memory. Yeah.
But
That's
we
right.
haven't sat down alone. I think all of our other, I've done a story at your show once, but we've never really just sat down and talked. So I was like, okay, now I'm going to refresh myself on a few things about Margaret. I always need to know where everyone is from. So remind me where you grew up.
Yeah. I grew up in Philadelphia, in a neighborhood called Chestnut Hill. Yeah, it's actually in the city proper, but it's kind of it's sort of this quasi suburban feel. So yeah, I had to get out of there quickly.
I feel like Philadelphia is such a cool place that doesn't quite get its due. Like, it's
Totally.
no, it's close to New York. It's less expensive. I
Yeah.
don't even like it when I'm there. I wish more people. It'd be like
Huge art scene, huge music scene. It's a fantastic, huge restaurant scene. It's amazing. Yeah, my husband and I often talk like, should we move back there?
is
Like,
he from there too?
he went to Penn for grad school, so yeah, so
Yeah,
he's got a Philadelphia connection.
got it, got it. And why a storytelling platform? Like, what's your connection to story?
Yeah. So in 2013, I was kind of like, doing my Gyrate Media thing, the content strategy agency, and I have a background in editorial as a journalist and as an editorial director, and was doing a lot of stuff for other people. And I was like, I kind of want to do my own thing. And I'm feeling like, you know, the way women over 40 are portrayed is not accurate in my mind. Like it was not the way I was feeling, the way my friends were traveling, living their lives. Like so many were single or married, or just there was such a wide, diverse variety of people over 40 and ways to be over 40 that I was like, I want to see this represented. I want to hear the personal journeys and stories of women, because at over 40, you have so much life lived, and so many stories and experiences to share.
Yeah.
And you also have so much more to go. So there's this like amazing moment where you're just like, I mean, midlife is like the worst term, I think, but like, I'm always like, and you're probably like this too. It's like, what is the term that feels like, forward motion? So I was kind of like, I knew I wanted to do personal stories and personal journeys. And I wanted to kind of think of a name that had a bit of a like right now momentum, like right now. And so that's why we came up with the kooky name of Tonight, which, originally it was, we were doing news. Well, we still do news stories every Tuesday, but we were doing like 7 stories every Tuesday night, which was insane. Scaled back since then, but every Tuesday we send out a newsletter. And so hence the name still lives on.
So is part of the name like Tonight, right now? And is part
yeah.
for some reason it just occurred to me, is it also a little bit like it's the beginning, it's the almost the middle of the week, but not quite?
Yeah, it's partly that. It's partly like we were also thinking like, and when I say we, it was, there have been so many people who've worked on Tonight over the years, and I always want to give people props. But a lot of different voices, which is important to me, and that's like the collective and creating it, and the expressing these stories has always been part of the mission. But yeah, so it's kind of like every night of the week had like a thing. Like weekends are kind of for doing chores or errands, and kind of like when you're with your family and friends, and then like Wednesday's like hump day, and like all these other, Monday's kind of the start of the work week. And so I was like, Tuesday night feels like a little bit of an off night where it's like you can take a minute for yourself and like kind of think and reflect and think about the future. So I just sort of like was like, it's Tuesday night, and the URL was available, so that helps.
So that helps.
Yeah.
But I like it because in the Wolfer, we've started doing this Monday night sex conversation. And I thought Monday would be perfect because no one's doing anything on a Monday night. And maybe it's partly because of COVID, but I'm kind of feeling like we may have to move it because on Monday nights, I'm actually like not at my best, I've discovered. I feel like Tuesday night might be a better night. Like Monday night, it's hard getting the week started under COVID stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, totally.
And storytelling, having women tell their stories, do you have a particular background in narrative? Do you write fiction?
So my background is journalism. I mean, I was a music critic and a music editor for a long time, and a managing editor. And so it's been pretty much a journalistic background, which is storytelling certainly of a sort. I've written fiction, that's not really where I've been published. All my published stuff is, nonfiction. But so nonfiction, personal essay, I worked at Time Inc., Real Simple for a while. We did some of that there.
So the idea like us really is women telling their stories, right?
Yeah.
For example, what's like I know the way you do it is you do it with a theme every month. So are there some themes that are your particular favorites, or has something been particularly surprising as a theme? Because you asked me to contribute sometimes, and I often find your themes a little hard. Like I think I don't know what I would write to that. So
yeah, well, it's one of those things too, where sometimes a theme helps writers like think of ideas. Like we have one coming up that's sleep, and I think it's we've actually done sleep like 4 or 5 times because everybody, for whatever reason, because none of us are sleeping, we want to talk about sleep. And there's so many angles to it. There's dreams, there's, the actual bedding itself and just sort of the feeling of it. And there's, your partner and how you're sleeping and the relationship aspect of it. There's so much around sleep. So sleep has been, one of those things. A secret was a really good one. Secret and I should also add that we often have live events, with our bigger themes. So we do live events like 5 or 6 times a year when it was pre-COVID. Now that it's, we've all been at home, we did our first virtual event on Crowdcast, which was honestly a big success because
success.
Yeah, we brought people from across the country. Typically our events are in New York, but this was a way for a lot of people to come together and see what we were doing. So in some ways it was kind of a plus.
I have to say, I think that's something we're both finding, and it is surprising. I mean, COVID's been horrible, but I'm finding that our content's actually, I think, gotten more interesting as a result. So it's kind of forced us all to rethink or reorient ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah. And it is easier to show up. I have to say, I went to a board meeting the other day and I just went on Zoom and I was like, this is a lot better than having to get dressed and drive and spend all the time at home. Like there is something, I feel like I'm seeing you right now. I'm hanging out with you. So there's something we're getting out
I actually got a little dressed up for you too, Nina.
I can tell. I like it.
Put in the lipstick. Usually I'm just like, let me get my hat, stick it on my head because I don't have time to do my hair.
And your hair is very fancy. You're getting compliments apparently on Facebook. Your hair is awesome.
I'm getting my hair cut on Tuesday and it's like, I don't even know. I just keep piling it on my head, like piling it. And
it's working.
It's at the moment where there's really no more piling I can do. It's going to fall off. I don't know.
Has there been through quarantine? I know you, like me, have just been working really hard, but has there been anyone besides the like generic, like it's nice to have downtime? Has there been any one particular surprise of COVID for you that's been really great? It could be like a TV show or a recipe or
interesting.
Better sex. I don't know.
You know what's actually today? I was like, I have gotten, this is super strange because I'm not a gardener, but I've gotten way into like indoor gardening. Like, I got like a bunch of kind of large plants that I'm like now forced to take care of. Like they're my children.
Yeah.
And just like, I have like now a lot of plants and it's sort of like bringing a little of the outside in, It's
awesome. And plants are what they do. They bring oxygen, right? That's great. Actually, that's funny because in our community, we started a gardening group midway through COVID. Like, we have all these like subgroups. And I was like, I don't want a gardening group. That seems kind of lame. And Sherry Brennan, one of our partners, kept insisting that there was a demand for it. And in fact, every other week now, there's a very robust group of women chit-chatting about gardening. So
yeah, that's so cool.
That's really great. Yeah, I don't know what my biggest surprise has been.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I think probably, I mean, this is a little conventional and obvious, but probably all the time I've been spending outside. Because like right now I'm in Brooklyn, but I've been pretty much entirely based out in the Springs in East Hampton. And like I've started thinking I want to become like a bird watcher, which is very surprising for me.
Yeah.
Or
that's cool.
I don't know, trees or whatever. So I think it's nature and this feeling that I may not want to come back to the city.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So let's see, we're both in the world of women over 40. What do you think? I mean, we know about you and I are probably experts on kind of what the best part about getting older is and what the worst parts about getting older is. I think we're probably pretty well versed.
Yeah.
What would you say is the difference since we met on Facebook, right? You had the Tuesday night community. I had What Would Virginia Woolf Do? What do you think are the similarities and differences between our two communities?
It's a good question. I think it's funny because when we did that movie event, you mentioned you thought our community was a little younger, and I was like, huh. And I never actually thought about that. And I was like, maybe so. I mean, it's funny because I think in the beginning, I toggled between the idea of making it strictly a Gen X group, because I think there is a particular and it sort of is that by just, I think, virtue of maybe whatever.
It has a pop culture feel.
Yeah.
Might have. Yeah.
And I think like, it's always like, it was always this sort of like, is it over 40? Is it Gen X? And so, but then, so I don't know. I think it's kind of it's a mixture of both. So I think there's that. So it's maybe a little more narrow. And I think we're strictly we're about storytelling. We're about, just the stories of women's lives. And that's kind of the lane we're sort of choosing to stay in. So, yeah.
And how old are you? Remind me.
Just turned 53.
Okay. So, and I'll be 51.
I'm not shuddering. Did I shudder? I'm not shuddering.
That's like shudder.
That's like one of those things. We're constantly like, say your age, be proud. And I am proud, but sometimes, to be honest,
you have a hard time saying it. That's interesting.
Little like, I am? Okay.
It's funny. I don't have a hard time saying it yet. And I think it's probably because of the community or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's whatever. It's weird. So I'm a teeny bit younger than you. The other thing about your community is that it's really quite diverse in a really lovely way. I mean, would you say it's mostly Brooklyn, or would you say it goes all over the country? What's kind of have you guys done any surveys?
Yeah, so it's definitely, it's pretty coastal and urban, I would say. Like, I mean, we get most of the folks who are on the site are probably New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. So there's sort of like some of the major metro, but we have a lot of people. We have a good contingent in St. Louis, I know, partly based because one of our kind of big writers is there, but we have like all over the country, mostly I would say probably just because I'm here and a lot of the people that work on it are here in Brooklyn. Our editor is in Pittsburgh, Disha Filia, she's based in Pittsburgh. But, one of the things that is super important and has been from the beginning is diversity and inclusion and making sure that, like I said, being over 40 looks like a million different things. And that runs the gamut from, how you choose to be in a relationship, your gender, your ethnicity, your race, all of that is like, and so it was really important for me to literally show different kinds of people. And so, like one of the other choices is like we show the writers visibly who contribute to the site because on the homepage of twonight.com. Because I think it's like you don't see people's faces, and the more you see people's faces, the more you understand sort of like how the sauce is made. What's the phrase? I was Soup isn't fun.
Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking about this. I want to actually hook you up. Remind me when we get off. I'll remember. There's this woman we've also just partnered with named Michelle Sanchez Boyce, who I'm kind of in love with, and she has
Yes.
an Instagram called 50ish the Movement.
Yeah, you
I think
told me
she
that.
should feature you.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. Like that idea of us all, I mean, there just are obviously a million ways to be over 40. And I love the way we're really, I just think the three of us really do share that genuine feeling of just like wanting to expose these stories and show all these experiences.
Yep.
And so what's been one of the biggest challenges of running the community for you? Or of,
Yeah, and I think, that's another thing. I think your community is so strong, and I think, our community is a little more like mighty, and we're smaller, but we're like smaller but mighty. I think like, yeah. So I think.
Well, I mean, that could be better. I mean, the truth is when you're small, there's generally in any business, right? I think the smaller you are, the more kind of clear the personality is. And it's one of the struggles with getting larger with anything, I think, is it's hard to kind of keep everyone happy. I mean, it's definitely an interesting challenge as we try and grow just to stay alive.
Yeah.
We'll never be what we were in those early days of what would Virginia Woolf do. It's all been like so organic, and it was such a funny moment. And one of the things that keeps me doing this is how fascinating managing a community is. The way it really does have a life of its own.
Yeah.
Our community is kind of something different every 6 months. It like has a core, which I guess is kind of led by me, but I also change, right? Like, so my interests 5 years ago are not the same interests that I have today. And I used to be like really staunchly against our community being super political, for example. And now I'm changing my mind about that. I feel like maybe that was a mistake. And I'm not as preoccupied with all the health issues of menopause because I'm finally on hormones. And I also just know all the issues really well now. So I've pretty much, at least for the time being, I've dealt with a lot of them. So it's just interesting to see. A community is just it's become very interesting to me. We've both struggled with like, is this a business and how do I make it a business, and trying to really pay attention to what's interesting to me about it is essential. And a lot of it is that psychology of kind of a group morphing and evolving. And then I think for me, second to that is what you say, it's just the stories. It's kind of so I'm going to rename myself, the kind of elevating people's voices and just telling their stories. Because like we do these Wolfer of the Weeks, like you do every week. You do more in-depth profiles of women. Ours are a little shorter. But I've often said to Sydney, should we keep doing these? Because we don't get that much traffic on them. But I just love doing them,
Exactly. I think there's really something to that, like driving your business based on what you love. Like we had a whole conversation in our two-nighters group about this. Somebody's kind of really, so many of us, so many women, especially over 40, are struggling with employment right now and jobs. I mean, we were before the COVID. Now it's even just like triple, if not more than that. And so I think like, I commented, I firmly believe still, like when we're talking about like, how do you do a business? How do you make money? I just think like you have to listen to yourself and listen to what you enjoy and really listen to your own like judgment and be guided by that. It's really hard, actually. Like it's a little bit Oprah, like listen to your gut, but it's true,
I really think it's true too. And it is a little, I mean, it's hard because I do also actually at this point in my life at 50 believe a lot of these, manifestation ideas. If you really focus on what you want, you can bring it towards you. I mean, I don't think, not everything, obviously you can't like will yourself to whatever, but I do believe actually in manifestation. But then it's hard. Like I really resisted turning this into a business because I knew it was a difficult model. Finally really threw myself in. It's really hard. And I think this morning I woke up and I was like, oh my God, like, do we just give up? Like, are we, I just pay my taxes and how much of my, but on the other hand, as I say to everyone around me, like, I love the women. I actually really am satisfied every day with like development and conversations, like talking to you really makes me happy, and the content and like knowing that we're all supporting each other. So I don't know. I guess I always say I'll keep going till I realize I shouldn't anymore. And that moment doesn't happen,
Yeah,
I think
totally.
it's similar with you. Yeah.
Very similar.
So sorry, I think I made us go off, but what has been, I mean, there are probably a lot of challenges, but what would you say right now is your biggest challenge?
With the community or with Two Night community?
Maybe
Anything?
both. Give us both.
Yeah, I mean, the community, I think, is just really like we've set some hard and fast rules, and there's three of us as moderators. So again, like I think you and the Wolfer had many more than that because we're smaller. So we right now have three people as moderators, and just like making sure that the community sticks by those rules and is consistent. And just because there's so many Facebook groups that, you know, crash and burn because like people say terrible things. And so we're really diligent about that and like just making sure that it's a good and safe, you know, nowhere online is safe. And I always say that it's like Facebook especially, and you know this, that's why you're off of Facebook. It's like, you know, and I think that's a challenge too. Like, you know, we're small enough that I think it's not maybe as impactful, but in terms of like, should we leave or not? I mean, I'm not quite there yet, but like, it's a challenge to be there. You know, what Facebook is sharing, what other people can share. It's just, you should never write something that you can't imagine would be on the front page of a newspaper, right? That sentiment.
And I remember when we were, I mean, I guess we still have this worry now, but it's really changed. But when we were on Facebook, you know, there were those, I mean, I'm sure you've had them, those dramatic moments when someone has shared a screenshot and hurt someone in the community. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, we used to say this all the time, like, obviously it's public. We want to create a safe space, but obviously we can't control everything. It's been interesting for us leaving Facebook because we do miss the super fast kind of back and forth, super funny quality you get on Facebook, even though like we feel now like our technology, it wasn't great when we started 6 months ago. We now feel like our technology is quite good in our community, but it because of the way the algorithm works, it's, I mean, again, there's a reason Facebook is Facebook, right? And they have whatever billions of users. So I am definitely finding that our community, I mean, I say this all the time now, it's much more intentional. So like I go there for a reason, and it's been an interesting evolution because I feel very liberated having left Facebook, honestly, because I felt like it was kind of ruling my life. But there is a fun quality and ease that I think that will, you know, that we miss from it. And the other thing I've noticed is that when people are paying for something, because of course our community is now $35 a year, they behave better. And good, it's mostly good, but it's good and bad because you don't get all that kind of high action drama. Like when we were on Facebook, we were removing people probably 10 a week. Like, you know, there was a lot of like, that person has to go.
Yeah.
And that almost never happens now. I mean, it's really,
that's interesting.
I think we've maybe removed one person actually since October.
Wow.
Like people aren't, you know, they're there for a reason and they take it seriously and they behave well. And so it's really different. And I wouldn't have anticipated that. I had no idea that was going to be the way it is.
I think the content, like the content model, like the paid content model is the other sort of big challenge. Like, how do you sustain a business like this? I mean, you're really, I think I've been so impressed with how you've just kind of gone for it and said, we're going to make it the community. We're going to make it this like amazing paid platform. You know, some of it's paid, some of it's not. Mm-hmm. You know, I think you know, we've done sponsorships, we've done the events, you know, the events tend to be kind of break even, but honestly, like it's like I lose money every, you know, it's right now I can only call it a passion project because it's like, I don't, right. It's like,
you're totally losing money. My accountant just told me this year is a $36,000 loss, which no, we're losing money too.
I easily believe it. Yeah. I mean, it's so you kind of, at some point, I'm like, when am I going to stop doing this? When am I going to decide, you know, and it's like, I'm my own patron, you know, I work very hard with clients for, you know, Gyrate Media. You know, I have 3 clients right now who are like taking up a lot of my time. So it's kind of this like, but I know how hard it is to actually get a funded content model. So I'm just reluctant. So
I know, you know, one of the thoughts we're starting to have, and it is interesting because of COVID, right? And now we're doing all these conversations and we're doing more like live, quote unquote, on Zoom events. And we've been doing this, you know, you should come, Margit, one day, if you can, before it's over, to our Unlearning Racism class. I will. We do it every day at noon. I think today was day 24. Today might have been our best day ever, but it's always good. It's been very impressive. It's been like 30 women a day. And of course we're doing it for free, and it's a shit of work. Like Sherry and I are homework, but we're starting to think maybe we can get more people in through interesting events and content, we might have to relook at the membership model a little. Like maybe you do have to kind of, because right now anyone can join our events. You don't have to be part of the community.
Right.
If you receive our newsletter and you're a woman over 40, you can just register. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's an endless struggle.
Yeah, and we could talk about, I don't know if this is
We can talk about it until the cows come home.
Like, what do you do about that? What about this? And then,
I know, yeah, it's really, really rough. All right, so my last question, maybe, I'm going to come up with a couple more, but someone asked me, oh, this was you asked me this. When you guys profiled me, one of the questions was, what are you looking forward to? And it really stumped me. It was a really good question in COVID, because it's not that I don't feel like life is worth living. I mean, there are things, but there's no one thing I'm actually looking forward to, because we're not going anywhere. No one's doing anything. So
you're gonna ask it of me? That's not nice.
So what are you looking forward to, Margit?
Oh no. Oh my God. Tomorrow's like coffee. I don't know, like I'm literally like, I mean, you're right. It's like, we have to just like, we don't know what's going to happen. And it's, I feel I'm sort of, my husband and I are now in this routine of just like, we're inside and like, now this is our space and we coordinate on who's got what, this, the good setup, the sub good setup. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this being over, like, and I know that like, we probably will have a modified over, like we're all probably going to be wearing masks for a while and social distancing and all that, but just like I had some friends come over, which now I know is like, you're not supposed to be inside at all. But for my birthday, I had my two good friends, Karen and Stacy, come over, and it was like a dream. It was just like heaven, having your good friends, like you don't even realize how much you miss people. Like, ugh. So
I've done that too. A couple times I've socialized. I agree. It really is nice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll go back to normal.
Yeah.
That actually makes me think of one more question when you referred to your husband. Are you guys on the same page about how anxious or not you are about COVID? I find that like in my relationship, he reads the paper much more than I do. He's constantly online, and it kind of makes me crazy. Then I feel like, I don't know. So I think we have a slight divide. I mean, it's been fine, but I kind of feel like it's important to just keep living your life. And he feels like it's really important to know every single thing that's going on everywhere. And he could literally talk about like the numbers in Arizona until the cows come home.
100%.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I mean, like it's like every piece of news, the TV is on a lot with like, MSNBC or CNN and sometimes even Fox, because we're like, what are they saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and sometimes I'm like, we got to just turn it on. We got to just like, let's play some music. And when we do, it's like, yeah, as I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely a news junkie myself. So I want to know, and I will find myself going down the rabbit hole of all manner of things, all manner of Karens and things like that. I'll be like, ooh, who's the Karen of the day? And then I'm like, okay, like this is just junk in my brain. I need to like not, so.
What a shit show.
Such a shit show.
All right. Well, do you have any particular, I don't know, you could ask me one question before.
Oh, I can?
If you want to, sure. It is really fun actually to like this. I love it.
I don't know. My gosh. Let's see. Where did you get those awesome glasses?
Oh, I just posted about these. So I love these. They're just peepers and they're like $25.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll tag you in the app because I don't have the info handy, but they're peepers. And I buy them in clear at a drugstore in East Hampton, and I really love, but they were getting all scratched up. So I finally like looked on the side, discovered they were not hard to find, found them online and ordered them in 2 pair. And I think now, I was saying this yesterday, I always just like buy glasses wherever I find them. But I think at 50, I've finally decided these are going to be, for the time being, my signature glasses. I'm just going to order these. They come in red, they come in clear, they come in blue, and I like them.
Yeah, they're nice. All right, what are your weekend plans? That's my follow-up.
God,
anything good?
Weekend? Oh yeah, I actually have a really fun weekend plan. This is actually kind of awesome and crazy.
Okay.
So I'm in Brooklyn, but I'm driving back, I spend the night at my boyfriend's in Riverdale tonight and then drive back to the beach tomorrow, where three, you know, I have four kids.
Yep.
Three of them are like 20 years old, basically, and my son's girlfriend. So I've got a house full of four 20-year-olds, and my daughter Ella, who's 21 and just graduated from college,
Yep.
driving up tomorrow to the Adirondacks to adopt by a Great Dane puppy, which I think is insane. But she's totally determined, and so she's getting this puppy tomorrow. So that's my weekend plan, and she's only going to be living with me for 5 more weeks, and then she's moving to DC. So there's an end date to this.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited. A Great Dane puppy at 6 weeks old weighs 20 pounds. This thing like, it's going to grow up to be 200 pounds.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah.
That is, having a dog in this moment is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a beagle. It's the best thing
You do?
ever.
Oh, I love beagles.
Yeah.
So actually that's a kind of fun weekend, and I'm going to go walking with a friend on Sunday, and I'm actually determined to try and find a new TV show because I haven't actually been watching anything for the last few weeks. And
Dirty John is really good.
Is that a TV show?
The Betty Broderick story. Yes.
Oh, I heard this. I heard the podcast, but I didn't even know it was a TV show.
Yeah, it's the second season, and it's a little depressing, but Amanda Peet is so good as Betty Broderick.
I love her. Oh, I didn't know about this. Okay.
It's talk about Gen X. It's like, gosh, I remember that whole story unfolding. It's really good.
Okay. I really
there you go.
love the TV show. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm definitely starving for one. All right. Well, I send you lots of love. This is super fun, really. And
thank you so much for doing this. It's so great. I had a great time.
Exciting. Everyone who's listening should look out for our newsletter on Sunday. It's Margit all the time. It's awesome. And once a month, I think at least, we're going to be swapping content, and we'll have this conversation again, and we're going to try and have some events, and, you know,
Yay.
buddies.
So great. All right. Thank you so much.
See you later.